So most of us, right? We're pretty comfortable using the cloud these days.
Yeah.
But have you ever really stopped to think, really think, about who's securing what?
Yeah, it's almost invisible, isn't it? We're storing photos, maybe running apps, streaming. It just works.
Exactly.
Yep.
It just works. But behind the scenes, who's making sure all that data doesn't just, vanish or worse, end up somewhere it shouldn't?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something absolutely key to that, but maybe a bit misunderstood. It's the AWS Shared Responsibility Model.
Yes. Fundamental stuff.
Totally. And our mission here is simple. Cut through the jargon, give you a really clear shortcut to understanding how cloud security actually functions, who does what, and honestly, why it matters so much to you, whether you're like a pro developer or just using cloud services personally.
And we're drawing on some really solid authoritative sources here. Practical clarity is the goal.
Yeah, no fluff. So let's unpack this thing. The AWS Shared Responsibility Model, what is it at its heart?
Okay, so fundamentally, it's a framework. Think of it like a clear agreement that spells out exactly how security and operational duties are split, divided between Amazon Web Services, AWS, and you, the customer.
An agreement. I like that. Like, here's your job, here's our job.
Precisely. It sets out who takes care of what. No ambiguity.
Okay, to make this really stick, let's use an analogy. Imagine you're renting a house.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right. So AWS, in this picture, they're the landlord. Their responsibility, making sure the building itself is solid, safe, the structure, the plumbing, the electricity, basically keeping the house operational and secure from the outside.
Got it. The physical foundation.
Exactly. Now, you, the renter, well, you're responsible for what happens inside that house. Locking your doors, deciding who gets a key, keeping your own belongings safe, maybe keeping the place tidy.
Okay. So managing my own space and security within the provided structure.
You got it. Together, the landlord and the renter make sure the whole setup, the house, or in our case, the cloud service, works well and stays secure.
And that clarity is it's so vital. It lets customers use these incredibly powerful AWS tools securely without getting totally overwhelmed trying to manage the deep infrastructure stuff.
Yeah, you don't need to be a data center expert.
Not at all. It ensures both sides, AWS and you, have these distinct specialized roles. And that's crucial whether you're a huge company or just, storing your holiday photos.
Right. Which leads us to the next big question. Why? Why is splitting things up like this so incredibly important? What's the big deal?
Well, it's not just about neatness. It fundamentally boosts security. It helps with compliance, it improves reliability, and maybe most importantly for many users, it lets you focus on what makes your business or project unique, not the background tasks of managing servers and cables.
Okay, so let's break down those benefits. First, you mentioned clear roles.
Absolute clarity. It defines exactly what AWS handles, like, say, the physical security around the servers.
Fards, gates, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And what you, the customer, have to manage, like securing the actual application you build or the data you put in. No gray areas.
Which prevents finger pointing later, I guess.
It does, and it leads straight to enhanced security because you have specialization. AWS pours massive resources into securing that core infrastructure globally.
Something most companies couldn't dream of doing themselves.
Right. And you then can focus your expertise on securing your specific applications and data. Two focused experts are better than one trying to do everything. It makes the whole system stronger.
That makes sense. And you mentioned compliance, too. How does it help there?
Oh, hugely. Think about regulations like GDPR or industry standards like ISO 27001. AWS handles the compliance of the infrastructure itself. That's a massive weight off your shoulders.
Okay, so the foundation is certified, basically.
Correct. Then you just need to focus on making sure your data handling and application logic meet whatever specific rules apply to you. It simplifies a really complex area.
And flexibility.
Yeah, that's key too. You get to customize your security settings, your applications, tailor everything to your specific needs and, your risk tolerance. But you're doing it all on top of this incredibly secure base that AWS provides.
Okay, let's make that concrete. Say a company runs an online store on AWS.
Right.
AWS makes sure the physical servers are locked down tight, have reliable power, are patched against known hardware issues.
Of the cloud part.
Yeah. But the company itself, they're responsible for making sure their website client doesn't have security holes, that customer payment info is encrypted, and that only authorized staff can log into the admin panel.
Exactly. That's the in the cloud part. That division makes using the cloud efficient, trustworthy, possible, really, at scale.
Okay, so we've got the why. Let's get into the what. who actually does what? We often hear these two phrases, security of the cloud and security in the cloud. Let's start with AWS's part, security of the cloud.
Right. This is all about AWS securing the underlying infrastructure. Everything that makes the cloud, well, run.
So like the actual buildings?
Absolutely. Physical security, that's guards, cameras, biometric access, fences, extremely tight controls on who can get anywhere near the hardware, stuff you couldn't replicate easily.
Okay, what else?
The hardware and infrastructure itself.
Yeah.
AWS manages and maintains all the physical servers, the storage disks, the network routers. They handle repairs, replacements, updates. You never worry about a server or fan failing.
That's a relief.
Definitely. Then there's the global infrastructure, managing all those regions and availability zones worldwide, ensuring they're resilient, that data can be replicated, that services stay up even if one location has an issue.
That massive scale.
And the core software, too. The operating systems on the host machines, the virtualization layer that creates things like EC2 instances. AWS keeps that foundational software secure and patched.
And finally, compliance certifications. You touched on this.
Yes, AWS ensures its infrastructure meets a whole raft of global standards. ISO, SOC, PCI, DSS, GDPR readiness, APA eligibility, and so on. They get audited constantly. This means the platform itself meets these high bars.
So, back to the house analogy. AWS is the landlord, making sure the building's foundations are strong, the walls are solid, the utilities work, the main gate is locked.
Exactly. They ensure the building is fundamentally safe and up to all the building codes. So you, the renter, don't have to stress about whether the roof will leak or the power will go out randomly.
Right. AWS ensures, say, the server your website lives on is in a secure facility, has backup power, and isn't going to be physically tampered with.
Precisely. That's security of the cloud, their turf.
Okay. Now let's flip the coin. Customer responsibilities. This is security in the cloud. This is what you, the user, need to handle everything you put on AWS.
This is crucial. It's your data, your applications, how you configure the services AWS gives you. Your choices here directly shape your security.
So number one has to be data security.
Absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
It's your data.
Yeah.
Are you encrypting sensitive stuff both when it's stored and when it's moving? Are you managing who can access it? Do you have backups? That's all on you.
Okay. And then the applications themselves.
Yep. Application security. If you deploy an application on AWS, you're responsible for its security. Writing secure code, patching your application software, fixing vulnerabilities you find or are reported. AWS gives you the stage, you secure the play running on it.
Makes sense. What about logins and permissions?
Critical. Access management. You control who gets access to your AWS resources.
Yeah.
Using tools like AWS IAM identity and access management effectively is key. Setting up users, groups, roles, strong passwords, maybe multi-factor authentication. You are the gatekeeper for your cloud environment.
Don't leave the door unlocked.
Essentially, yes. And related to that is configuration. Setting up the AWS services correctly. Like configure to your security groups, they act like firewalls to only allow the traffic you expect. Or making sure your S3 storage buckets aren't accidentally set to public. Misconfiguration is a huge source of security issues.
Oof, yeah. Heard stories about that. And finally, data compliance again.
Right. While AWS provides a compliant infrastructure, you need to ensure that how you use the services and manage your data meets any specific legal or industry rules that apply to your situation. If you handle health data, you need to ensure your setup meets IPA requirements, for example.
Okay, so back to the house analogy one last time. AWS provided the secure building. You, the renter.
You're responsible for locking your own apartment door that's access control, keeping your valuables safe inside, maybe getting insurance that's data security and backups. And how you arrange your furniture, what appliances you use securely, that's your applications and configurations.
Got it. So if I run that web app, it's on me to make sure the code is clean, user passwords are secure, and if I store credit card numbers, I better be encrypting them properly.
Exactly. That's your domain within the secure environment AWS provides.
Now, this seems pretty clear, but I understand it's not always exactly the same split. It can change depending on the AWS service.
That's right. This is where it gets a bit more nuanced, but also more powerful. The responsibility line shifts depending on whether you're using infrastructure as a service, IaaS, platform as a service, PaaS, or software as a service.
Okay, let's break those down. IaaS first, like Amazon EC2 virtual servers.
Yep. EC2 is the classic example. With IaaS, AWS manages the foundational hardware, storage, networking, and the virtualization layer.
But everything on top of that
Is yours to manage. The operating system, patching it, securing it in your applications, your data, configuring firewalls, security groups, managing user access within the OS.
So this is like renting the plot of land and the basic building materials. You build the rest of the house yourself.
Good analogy. It offers the most flexibility and control, but also puts the largest share of the in-the-cloud security burden on you.
Okay. Next, PaaS platform as a service, like AWS Elastic Beanstalk.
Right. With PaaS, AWS manages more. They handle the infrastructure and the operating system and the underlying platform software and patches. Think databases, middleware.
So what's left for me?
You primarily focus on deploying and managing your application code and securing your data and user access related to that application.
This sounds like renting a fully equipped workshop. The benches and tools are there and maintained. You just focus on creating your product.
Exactly. It significantly cuts down your operational work. You can focus more on innovation, less on OS patching.
And finally, SaaS software as a service, something like Amazon Workmail, their email service.
Perfect example. With SaaS, AWS manages almost everything. The infrastructure, the OS, the application software itself, updates. It's all handled.
So my job is minimal.
Relatively, yes.
Yeah.
You typically just manage user access who gets an email account, your data within the service like your emails, and maybe some basic service configurations like setting up forwarding rules.
This is like moving into a fully furnished service department. You just bring your clothes and manage who gets a key.
That's a great way to put it. The key takeaway across ICS, PaaS, and SaaS is this flexibility. You choose the model that best fits your needs, your technical skills, and how much operational responsibility you want to take on.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not one size fits all.
Not at all. It's about choosing the right tool and the right responsibility level for the job.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What's the big picture for someone listening to this?
Well, the AWS Shared Responsibility Model, fundamentally, it's a partnership. That's the key word.
A partnership for security.
Exactly. AWS brings its expertise in building and securing massive, robust global infrastructure, to the cloud part. You bring your expertise in your own applications, your data, and configuring things correctly, the in-the-cloud part.
And together, that partnership allows you to use the cloud securely and reliably.
Precisely. It means you can innovate faster, build amazing things, scale up or down, all without getting bogged down in the complexities of running your own physical data center.
It really does empower you, doesn't it? Understanding this isn't just about ticking a security box. It makes you a smarter, more effective cloud user. You know where to focus your efforts.
Absolutely. Whether you're coding the next big thing or just making sure those precious family photos are safe for the long haul.
Okay, this has been incredibly clarifying.
Good. But it does leave us with a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over.
Go on.
Now that you hopefully have this clearer picture of the distinct roles AWS's part and your part, maybe take a moment to think, are there any specific areas in your own cloud use or maybe in your team's processes where you could perhaps pay a bit more attention to your side of the responsibility model? Thinking about that clarity, how does it empower you to be even more secure and effective going forward?